Dave Savage, broadcasting live out of WeWork in Chicago. Today is our Friday Mastermind. Every single Friday, 9 o'clock Pacific, mortgage coach leaders are here to bring you ideas, talk about success stories. Today we have a very exciting call because we've got a couple new folks. Well, Frank Blakeley out of what part of Southern California in Frank?
Orange County, California.
Orange County. You are not new to the mortgage coach community. I've interviewed you multiple times, but this is the first time you've been live in our mastermind format. Isn't that right?
That's correct. Yeah, I'm excited. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. And Keith Collins, this is the first time I've interviewed Keith or had him in a mortgage coach leadership role. Keith, while he's not new to being a mortgage coach member, he's new to using his mortgage coach membership. So it's like he's had the gym membership.
Participating.
And
I've been funding you for a long time, but I'm actually using it now.
Yeah, well, I am looking forward to hearing why and how it's going for you. Because what are you, about 3 weeks into getting after it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, 2.5, 3 weeks. It all started with the playbook.
Seller buy down playbook for those of you. That's the playbook is like the code. I've got my co-host and partner in crime, Todd Bookspan. What's up, Todd?
You know, it is so exciting to be here with so many of my friends, both here on camera with us, as well as those online. And I just have to say it again, Dave, that WeWork background you have today looks really Hollywood. You look pretty amazing. So super excited to be here and looking forward to the conversation.
Right on. And then Michelle Town, it is awesome to have you here. Michelle, for those of you that haven't heard Michelle, which I can't imagine it's anyone, I've interviewed her countless times. She is a regular leader in this format, is a top producer. And Michelle, great to have you here.
Great to be here. Happy Friday, everybody.
Cool. So guys, let's do this. We're 3 minutes into this. We've got the full hour, so we've got 97 minutes. The promise I made and the topics I put out there are, we're going to talk about unique sales propositions. I do think we should save that for the second half of the call, just because I think when we talk about success stories and we talk about what both you guys are doing, we'll just get some ammo out of that. But I do want to just point out to anybody that's watching this call live, if you have a unique sales proposition, and by the way, if you don't know what that word means, you're new to the business, never fear. Todd Bookspan will net that out for you in 30 seconds. Setting expectations for you, Todd, when the time comes. But if you have a unique sales proposition, share it anytime. You can put it in comments in Facebook. I started a thread in our mastermind Facebook group saying, what is your unique sales proposition? Put it in comments there. And I'm also building a library of mortgage coach community unique sales propositions. So there's a Google Doc in the comments of our Facebook group. So throw it out there. What is your unique sales proposition? Guys, let's learn fast together and share it. But let's start with Frank Blakeley. Keith, I'll bring you up second. You've been doing some great things out there in the market. One of the reasons why I invited you to today's call is I saw a YouTube video that you shared in our group, and it just looks like you're doing really good things out there in the market. So why don't you share what's up?
Yeah, so, we all know there's a transition that has already happened in our market. And one of the strategies coming out of Sales Masteries and something I've been working on for a lot of is not only getting the B2B, but more so focusing on B2C. 2 years ago, my biggest takeaway was annual reviews from Sales Masteries. And this year is digging more into database and getting more consumer referrals. And so videos and education materials is part of that strategy. And so pretty much every week we're putting out a new video that is consumer based, but because I have so many real estate agents and other affiliates that are our friends on Facebook, it's kind of having a domino effect elsewhere. So more that rebranding, showing who we are through education and thinking outside of the normal pre-qualification, here's your rate box.
Love that. Well, why don't you tell about the specific video that you did? Why did you create it? What is it? And then any results that you're getting from it?
Yeah. So first off, I was thinking about seller buy down about a month ago. And then I think somebody in the mastermind group or mortgage coach communities posted on it. And then Dave, you sent me that video. So it was kind of like, all right, thinking about it now, Dave's kicking me in the butt, so let's do something about it. And so we decided to do the video to really speak to the consumer, because that's, we're slowing down in Orange County. Our average price point is $750,000. So when you talk about 0.25%, it's not $20 a month that's impacting the buyer. It's 100 plus, and it starts to become a bigger deal as we get higher up in price point. And then we've started to see several price adjustments. So now I think right now the biggest thing is being able to have communication, especially as we go into the final quarter of the year, the seasonal changes, and communication is now around strategy. Just don't let the house sit, right? Let's talk about different avenues to help encourage deeper conversations, to add solutions, and help real estate agents, in addition to consumers, ask more questions to identify what the pure goal is of why or why not they're not moving forward on purchasing a house. So the seller buy down video was a 2-minute and 30-second video to introduce that strategy and how the numbers really work on a payment perspective of dropping the rate down with the seller buy down rather than using just a price reduction. And then again, this is a swipe and adapt from somebody else that was on one of your videos, is showing how much you would have to drop the price down in order to match that seller buy down strategy. So I think it's really eye-opening. I posted,
Frank,
yeah.
Hey, real quick, I am showing on the screen right now Frank's video. First of all, for anybody that's watching this, who is the audience? Did you create it for a real estate agent? Who is the audience?
Yeah, great question. So we have the audience is the consumer.
Got it. So here it's your past clients.
It's past clients, social media, people, friends and sphere of influence type people.
Okay, good.
So we have another video that.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, you
Sorry.
are? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I'm not going to play it. It's going while you're talking. I'm sorry for interrupting.
Oh, yeah, that's all right. So we have another video that has the same seller buy down strategy, but I have a different introduction, and that's going straight to agents. So that was sent out last night to agents. So the first post was to you and the mortgage coach community. Second post was on my social media. Last night we sent it to real estate agents with the introduction of the strategy. And then next week we'll boost it on our fan page and then send it out to all my past clients. Love
that. And thank you so much for sharing this in the mortgage coach community. A couple things I loved about it is just, you look great. You showed up, you talked and touched people at a personal level, connected with them. And then, what is it here? At about 30 seconds into it, about 40 seconds into it, you start getting into the numbers. So you connected emotionally, and now you're connecting logically. So I thought that was awesome. And then you kept the whole thing under 2 minutes, so kudos to you. It's a fantastic video. If you wouldn't mind, I would love if you wouldn't mind sharing the Realtor one in the mortgage coach community, just so we have kind of an example of how you framed it and positioned it for a consumer in your database, and then how you're positioning it for realtors. Would you be cool with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Todd, anything you have to add or, cover on it?
Hey, just two things. Number one, let me just point out something to all of you. Frank has a plan, right? He didn't just say, hey, I did one video and I threw it everywhere, right? He's got a plan of how he's going to distribute this content to his community, to his partners, to his clients, and then out to his page. So number one, awesome job, Frank, for doing that. And it's something that we can all learn from. My question for you, Frank, is really how long did it take you to do all of this? Because most people get stuck in that whole idea of perfection. And yours looks great, but did it take you all day? Did it take you an hour? What was that like?
Well, it took me 15 minutes. I don't know how long it took Garrett, the one who shot the video and edited it. So we actually are fortunate to have someone that is passionate about video on our team. And that's why you're seeing more videos come out. So I'm not sure how long it took him, but just to rewind, and Dave, you may remember this, several years ago, I was just posting through Mortgage Coach. So that's where I started with video, really. It wasn't edited. It was just, hey, I have a concept and strategy. I'm going to speak to people that are friends with me on Facebook. And I started posting, and it didn't look pretty, but it looked good enough. And I was getting responses when I would see people. They're like, hey, keep posting your videos. And they didn't like it. They didn't comment on it, but they verified they were actually seeing them.
That's huge, right? So think about that, everyone, right? First off, it doesn't need to be as beautiful as this video is. Just post it, and then don't be discouraged if you're not getting interaction. It's the over time how people see it. And Bill Hart just did a video on it. Like, people think they know you, right? Isn't that how it is, Frank? People see like, oh gosh, Frank, I know you because I've seen you on all those videos.
It is. It's very true.
And there's brand awareness that you don't even know about that's occurring. You can talk to people, you walk into a room, they know you, but like I talk to realtors about the videos a lot often, and they're like, I watch your videos all the time. They're not commenting, they're not sharing. You have no idea that they're viewing them, but they're there and you're in front of them without actually picking up a phone or having a face-to-face appointment. It just happens organically, but you have to be consistent.
Yeah, no doubt. And for anybody who's watching this, in the Mortgage Coach Seller Buy Down Playbook, we talk about a number of different videos that you should be doing, ranging from just the total cost analysis with a video, blast it out to your realtors, and then these, YouTube videos or Facebook videos that have some level of editing, so just get after it. And there's no one video that you need. You need to have multiple videos to share your strategy, promote it in multiple channels. And by the way, that includes sending them via text, take this video and text it to a realtor with a super tailored, on point message. Hey, you're listing at such and such. Notice it hasn't selling. Here's a video that might be interested here's a 2-minute video that might have some value. There's lots of different ways that you guys got to get the word out on this. So Keith, why don't you share what you're doing and any results that you're having?
Yeah. So my strategy has been be a magnet, right? Like I want people to search me out based on the content that I'm putting out. So whenever I have a client that asks a question, I'm like, oh, that's a common question I'm getting. I create a video and I put that out through Facebook. I do targeted ads to the top agents in the area. But what I started finding is that I was actually having agents share my videos, and then my reach was a lot further. I was getting calls from people who, like, I had no idea they weren't in my sphere, but then I could track that back to the agent that shared the video. And they're like, oh yeah, I know, Joe Smith or whatever. So that was a strategy that I created where, like, if I'm making a video, is this a video that is content that an agent would see and then share in their social? So that's been everything I'm doing with video. The one that I posted came off a conversation. So about 2 weeks ago, I got on the phone with a bunch of real estate agents and just started talking to them about the seller buy down strategy. And I was on the phone with one agent and she tells me, Keith, I have two scenarios right now where I think this would help, one buyer and one completely different seller. And she's like, how can we get this information to them? And I was like, well, I have a program for that. So I got the details, I put it together and I sent it to them, and it saved one of the transactions. I didn't get the loan, but I helped that agent win. And then I took that video and then I actually created the video around it. And so that's the video that I posted in the Mortgage Coach community. I took that video, I put it in BombBomb, and I sent it out to about 130 agents that I'm either working with or targeting. And I used from the seller buy downs playbook, there was like 5 or 6 subject lines. Hey, use this. And I think it was property not selling, maybe try this strategy instead of a price reduction. And I had more interaction than I've ever had on a BombBomb video. 130 agents, I think I had like 80 opens and 60 views. So I went back through yesterday and I called all of the agents that either opened or viewed the video. And there's this one agent, Lori, that I think this is pretty cool that all happened since we last spoke. There's an agent, Lori, I've been targeting for 2 years, and she's ghosted me. She's one of the top agents in the area. I've done 2 transactions with her independently. They weren't referred to me. The buyers found me and found her independently of any type of referral. We closed it. We did a good job, but she's just never picked up the phone. I've always left messages, never responded to a voicemail. She doesn't even open up my Facebook messages, right? So I call her expecting to leave a voicemail because she opened the BombBomb video twice and actually viewed the video twice. So I call her, I'm expecting a voicemail, she picks up. And I actually didn't really know what to say because I was kind of surprised. She's like, hey, Keith, I'm actually sick right now. I'm home in bed, but I'm glad you called. Can you call me back next week? So I'm like, hey, get better. I'll call you next week. So I hung up the phone. I get my marketing coordinator in. I'm like, where does Lori live? So I swing for the fences. Where does Lori live? So we do like a little FBI background search, find out where she lives, and we Amazon a care package to her of like, I don't know, emergency soda water, chicken broth, the whole deal. And it gets there in like 2 hours. 15 minutes later, she tags a post on Facebook thanking me for it. Keith Collins' team. And then I sent her a Facebook message and she opened it and said, I'd like to talk to you next week. So like that all originated from a phone call with an agent about a total cost analysis, right? So it's like, how can we take an opportunity and then where can we take that opportunity? That was pretty cool. So that's really cool. I posted.
That's an awesome story. Michelle Town, any comments or thoughts? And I know you've watched the video.
I watched the video. I just watched Frank's video. That's why I went off for a second. Just wanted to see it. But I love it. I mean, the seller buy down, coming up with new strategies. But first, Dave, I just want to say something to you and to everybody who's on this call. The value that is in that Mortgage Coach Facebook page is incredible. And I hope everybody takes the time, especially if you're slowing down right now. Don't slow down your mind. Go look at these videos and watch them and be prepared for next year, because the conference we did on Monday, we talked a lot about, writing your chapter, right? Writing your chapter of your story, and you have to write the chapter as if it's what you want, right? So if you have all these tools in Mortgage Coach Facebook that is free to you, it's just going to take some of your time, use it, and write that chapter of a positive impact next year. Because people ask me, one of the questions they asked me was, what do you think about next year? Are you looking at your production going down? And I'm like, no. I actually get excited in environments like this, because we're in a normal environment. This is where the brain power works. This is where the creativity comes in, and this is what, for me, makes me strive, because I need to be needed. So make sure to use that. But all these things, the things that Keith and Frank and Todd and Dave and we're all sharing with you guys, take it, because you can increase your business so much more. I mean, even just one more deal a month is going to be incredible. And if you can bring that value to the client or to the agent as well, think of how much more business you're going to get from them and showing your value.
I think that's awesome, Michelle. And I would definitely throw in there, I mean, a couple things I think that Keith highlighted that did great. Number one is you pointed out, Dave, he's just been doing Mortgage Coach for a short period of time. So it's not too late to start, number one. Number two is he said, hey, I just took an opportunity and turned it into something. So he picked up the phone and made a call, right? So it always starts with actually calling people. And then when he heard a story, he took that and just documented it, right? So take what you're hearing from your clients, from your realtors, and then turn that into that social post. You don't need to overplan it, overscript it. Just tell the story. And then he told the story actually using Mortgage Coach as the tool so that people could actually see what it looked like. And that's really critical. And then, of course, he went over the top and actually looked at who looked at the video and then made more phone calls and then took even that above and beyond action with that care package. So think through what's going on in your business today or who you talked to yesterday that you can actually just replicate that same thing. It might just be hopping on Facebook and doing a 2-minute live video talking about a solution you provided to a client. So well done. I think that was really awesome.
So I want to start transitioning to USPs, but first I want to give Frank, do you have any questions or comments for Keith? And then Keith, any questions or comments for Frank? So Frank, you go first.
I don't think any questions. I think the comments, I mean, obviously like what Todd just said, using BombBomb and not just doing it to send out the videos, but to actually track and use the tool efficiently is awesome. So, I mean, great job, Keith. And also going up with that care package. I'm like, all right, we got to get Amazon on track for these types of situations. So very nice job.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, it was like $30 and it was out in 2 hours. It was easy.
So Keith, any questions for Frank at this point before we start transitioning to USPs?
No, I don't have any questions. I wrote down a goal though, 1,000 TCAs. We had an interesting conversation before. I guess Frank's like the master, 1,800 total cost analysis. So the goal's 1,000. Frank
is a black belt in Mortgage Coach, to put it mildly. So I'm going to tee up the unique sales proposition. around some new slides and a new presentation I'm working on. I'm getting ready for a bunch of keynotes that I'm giving at a number of different lenders. And I'm titling this keynote called the Digital Shift. And so I'm only going to show about 5 slides, but I think it really sets up this conversation nicely. So, I mean, this is the past, you know, where it was a realtor-centric world. You know, the realtor really owned the consumer. And by the way, you know, I'm going to just skip around. You know, that realtor-centric world it's not this year. You know, this is like pre-Zillow, where the realtor, you know, no one could find a home, no one was listing without an agent. Today in 2018, you can see it. I mean, there's just an array of options for families to find homes, buy homes. You know, the realtor's still in the mix. And, you know, I don't know whether it's going to be 2021, 2022. I just threw it out here, 2025, where I'm not saying realtors are going to get cut out. There's not going to be a need for realtors, because I do believe anybody that's an advisor and a coach will always be there. But here's the deal, you know, the shift has happened where the consumer is the king of their world when it comes to buying a home. And so this shift has happened. It's done. It's like, you know, it's just like, you know, when a mountain's built, the mountain doesn't go away. You know, the shift's happened. Game is over. You know, so now it's what do we do? Well, I think one thing we need to recognize is that there's just this war being waged on the mobile phone, you know, and then there is, you know, like our competitive landscape from a mortgage professional standpoint has vastly changed, you know, and not just over the past couple of years. Like literally, if you think about last year, who did you compete with? These were the channels, you know, big banks, credit unions, brokers, you know, mortgage bankers. And literally, you know, this very year, the competitive landscape has vastly changed. You know, we were not talking and worried about Amazon getting into the business last year. Heck, we weren't even talking that in Q1 of this year. We did not have, you know, Redfin and Zillow owning mortgage companies. You know, that's brand new. You know, Open Door and OfferPad, you know, there was no conversation around that. So there's just a tremendous amount of competition surrounding the family, and the family gets to make their choice. So a reality that we need to face: rates are going down, price compression is here to stay. And this I've shared with you guys before, you know, just this concept that, you know, the model is shifting, and while this shift has not completely happened, the digital mortgage and the digital transition that's happening in our industry is driving that transaction down. So I purposely made the color, you know, for advice blue, for blue ocean. And I purposely made client for light green, for that's where all the profits and money are. You know, so when you start thinking about my unique sales proposition, my unique value proposition, you want to get away from making it around the transaction. And so here's a few last thoughts, and then I want to open this up. When I ask most loan officers their value, you know, and by the way, they're talking to me, they always make up something different. But when I'm like, literally like, what did you say to the last realtor, you know, on why to do business with you? And usually, you know, or a consumer, it has to do with rates. It has to do with speed, has to do with keeping my promises. And I say that's playing checkers. And by the way, the Amazon mortgages of the world are going to crush it when it comes to speed and price. And so where I believe the market needs to go, and where you need to go as mortgage professionals, is you still got to deliver speed and price. That's table stakes. You need to deliver advice and brand. You need to play chess, a multi-dimensional game. And really, I don't know what's more important, advice or brand. I just think they're so equally important. And one of the things I'm excited about this call and having these two guests and Michelle is that you guys are doing a great job of delivering advice. Keith, you're new to the advice game. See that you just started using Mortgage Code.
I'm new to the advice game. I'm just new to using the tool for it. I know,
man. I know. Well, you're new to playing the advice game at the absolute highest level, because, you know, if you're not delivering a total cost analysis, it's like, you know, there's a level higher that could be played. So you're playing the advice game at the highest level, and you know, I've looked at your Facebook page. I know who you are. I mean, you've been playing the personal branding game, and you've been doing it really well for a long time. But this just kind of makes this point that whatever your unique value prop, and I'm going to turn it over to Todd in a minute here, you know, one of the things that we're very intentional about as Mortgage Coach is you notice that, you know, there's a company brand and then there's a personal brand. Josh Metal is, I mean, very intentional around how he brands himself and how he puts a picture of his family on everything that he does. He's very intentional about delivering mortgage strategies, not mortgage options. You know, he's very disciplined that every time he delivers these mortgage strategies, he's showing the difference between one strategy versus another over different windows of time. By the way, if you're not doing that, you're not delivering advice at the highest game. So it's just more important than ever that you, whatever your unique value proposition is, and we're going to break it out and we're going to start talking about those, that it's within this game. Price, speed, brand, advice. That's, call it the sandbox, the corner of the sandbox. So with that said, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Michelle Town, do you have anything to add before we have Todd kind of lead us on a unique sales proposition conversation?
I mean, I just want to, I really liked how you had it organized because, as you know, I chose to go back to the advice stream about 2 years ago. I didn't want to be the Amazon of the world type, you know, where you close in 5 days. That wasn't the most important to me because I felt that people needed to understand a little bit more that rates weren't everything, and strategy on, you know, what the family plan was going to be was more important, and using Mortgage Coach was really it's a great tool for that. I mean, showing it's you know, you can move your, anybody who doesn't use Mortgage Coach, you can move your strategies for 7 years, 10 years, or, you know, showing a 15-year versus a 30-year and how much interest they're going to save over the life of the loan. It just makes the client start, you're leading them to ask a different question instead of what's your rate. So when that's what I love about it, because it's not about rates, and it's, if you don't have rates and speed in this market, you're out anyway. So what do we have? Everybody has rates and speed right now. What do we have to offer them? We have our advice and we brand. I mean, I think brand's important. I think the advice that we give is important. So I think they kind of go hand in hand a little bit.
Right on. So by the way, Frank and Keith, be ready to share some of your unique sales propositions in the market in a few minutes here. And remember, anybody that's on this call, if you've got a unique sales proposition that you'd like to share, please, you know, put that in our Facebook thread, put that in Zoom. I will call it out, and let's start masterminding and building a library of just awesome, unique sales propositions for the Mortgage Coach community. So Todd, I'm gonna hand it off to you. Why don't you define USP and kind of run us through a workshop on that?
You know, I think it's such a great opportunity. And it's funny because I have always talked USP, and I never like to say something different than what Dave said. I'm all about UVP, unique value proposition, because I really do believe you have to be providing value. And really what people want to know whether you call it USP or UVP really is, what are your features, right? What is it that you have? And then how are you different from everybody else? So really it's just the conversation. And then Dave and I were talking this morning offline, and I think you all have one. You all know exactly what your UVP is. You just haven't actually taken the time to sharpen it. You haven't taken the time to actually write it down, because you ultimately have to be able to internalize what it is that you're going to say day in and day out. And then you saw that Dave sort of pointed out, like he's got 2 different UVPs depending on the audience, right? So you may have different ones. I'm going to throw it up in the Mortgage Coach community. I've got a UVP tool that I created that'll walk you through some questions and help you come up with something defined that you can say. Because ultimately, in the end, it doesn't matter what I tell you about it. What really matters is that I actually help you actually do it. And then I would just throw 2 more things in, and I just want to open it up for conversation. I recently walked a group of loan officers through their personal why. So if you actually search in our Mortgage Coach Productivity Facebook group, you can look up Mortgage Why. Dave's got a great tool that he created actually with the help of all of you, with the community, about a year or 2 ago. And I think you need to know personally what is your why, and then you need to know this UVP, and then you can transition into what Keith said before this was an outdated thing, an elevator pitch, but I actually believe it actually goes there. This is why I personally do it. This is what the features and benefits of my company are and how it helps you and how I'm different. And then that is your elevator pitch, whether you're talking to a veteran and telling them about why you really love helping veterans, and then how you help veterans, and then and then what that looks like while you're on that elevator ride, or why you love helping first-time home buyers. I mean, all of those things. And if you actually take the time to actually write all those out, then you will actually do a better job of delivering what you're already doing a pretty good job of. Just like Keith was doing a great job of helping his clients at a high level. Now he's just doing slightly better because he's got a different tool. And so I would just taking a little bit of time, walk through the tool so that you can then take what you're doing and push it all the way to the top. Does that make sense, guys?
It does. By the way, Todd, if you want to share your screen, by the way, I'm looking for the Mortgage Coach Why worksheet. I'm going to share it in comments in just a minute. But why don't you, you want to walk through your tool and just pull it up real quick?
Yeah, let me see if I have it up. Just take me 1 sec. Let me, I'm not quite as fast.
Well, by the way, while you're doing that, let's go to, Keith, when you think of, and let's go with value. I actually edited my post, and let's just call it a unique value prop. Although
I always hate contradicting you, Dave, but I'm just like super passionate about that one right now.
I love it. I mean, it's beautiful. Let's debate it. But I really don't have a debate. You sold me. I mean, I'm calling it unique value prop from now on. It makes lots of sense. Keith, why don't you walk us through, the things you say that would be unique value props for you, and then Frank will do you.
Yeah, I think, and we said this before, right? The whole idea of like a elevator pitch, I think I don't know if I believe in that so much anymore, because I don't get into situations where I'm in front of somebody and they ask me that, and it would be even weird or comfortable to throw out something like that. I think it's more so when people are throwing questions at you, we need to understand what our value is, right, in those certain situations. So like, a client, something that happens often with a client is they'll say, well, like, Keith, why would I use you? And then to be able to articulate that, right? And I would say something like, I believe my value is seeing things that other people don't. And one thing that I believe that is occurring in 2018 and going into 2019 is people may not be getting the wrong loan, but they might not be getting the right loan. And what we're going to do is establish the goals that you have for the property and find loans that fit within those goals. And then I'm going to be able to clearly show you over a 5 and 15-year period of time which loan program is the one that best fits your time horizon ownership. So I don't, like if a client calls me, and I'll be honest, I don't really have a great objection to someone saying, what's your interest rate? Because like, I know people can get a better interest rate than I have. And so I'll ask them and then move on from it. Right. Someone says, hey, what's your interest rate? Well, we have very competitive interest rates. But if you're honestly looking for the rock bottom best deal, I might not be your best place. And I'm very comfortable telling somebody that because I understand what my value is. And I don't want to lose half my day, chasing down somebody that at the end of the day is going to, shop me after we lock the loan. So I think when we go into the unique value proposition, you have to understand like where you excel really well. And then when people start firing off those questions, you have to have the answer, but you also have to understand that like, okay, this is a client that doesn't fit me, and make that decision. Like, do I move on or do I keep engaging? Does that make sense?
Well, by the way, it makes perfect sense. And you completely crushed this exercise. I mean, you have a unique value proposition, and it was as well said as any I've heard, and it completely fit the sandbox, because you are addressing speed and price, you are doing it in a unique way that has a personal brand, and you are absolutely using advice. I'm uncovering opportunities that most don't see. You may not be getting the wrong loan, but you may not be getting the best loan. If I had one thing for you to consider when you kind of put in your closing sentence, to maybe add, I'll help you pick the right loan that will help you build wealth in real estate the fastest, or help you, to tailor it to the client when they said, my goal was X, I want to be able to move up into a bigger home in 5 years, and I want to eliminate PMI in 3. You may have that would have been your closing, and I'll help you pick the best loan that will help you pay off that MI faster, and I'll show you how to do it, and move into that bigger home that you told me was your dream home in 5 years. I'll help you. So that's the only edit, just kind of personalize the close. But I mean, that was exceptional, man. Congrats. Hey, Todd, before you jump on this, Frank, you want to try to follow that?
No. Yeah. So we really believe that educated buyers make better financial decisions and home buying decisions. So our conversation really revolves around that consultation. So one of my first questions is, what are your expectations of the mortgage once you finish your home purchase? And I just wait. And most people do not know what that end goal is. And so the next comment is, well, most people, when they're calling us up, we know you always want the lowest rate at the lowest cost. So let's just put that on the side as a given. But most people don't know how their financial choices with the mortgage is going to affect their financial goals, short-term and long-term. And that's what we're going to establish during our time together. And then that leads into, do you mind if I ask you some questions about what your initial goals are of your home ownership? And then I'll go through the process, and then we're going to book a time for a consultation. And we're going to make sure that I know all your needs and wants and what your financial goals are for you and your family. And we'll help you choose the right financing option at that point.
Love it. Super on point. And Michelle, you want to kind of share what you say and how you uniquely, position yourself?
Yeah, and just so you know, it's going to be, my brand comes right in. So I'm going to show something on the screen here. Oh, it's backwards. But anyways, it's Think Yes. I always start with it saying, when somebody asks me, why do I want to use you? And I say, because I'm going to make you think yes. And they always stop and go, what do you mean by that? And I go, my job is to show you how to ask the right questions, and how I can answer the right questions for you. And like Keith, I always tell them, I may not be the right advisor for you. I said, I hope I am. And I hope that after our call, you're going to find some value in what we do. And we go dig deep. When somebody asks me, I want the lowest rate, and I'll ask them, okay, why? And if they go, what do you mean by why? I'll go, is it something you're going to sell? Are you planning to keep this house for later? Are you just looking at the interest rate? Or if somebody, like today, we're doing a presentation for somebody who wants to, maybe buy down their loan 2.5 points. And she goes, God, I really like that rate of 4.375. And I'm like, great, I want to give that to you, but you understand it's going to cost you $9,500. I said, let's talk about what the rest of your goals are going to be, how long you're going to keep this house, what's your history of keeping home, because this person happens to be a home. They don't keep their homes more than 5 or 7 years, so the buyout's 9 years. And I'm like, I don't know that this is the right thing for you, but let's look at it. So we have a live, we're going to do a mortgage coach, and then we're going to get on live together afterwards. I think that's also one of the most underutilized part of mortgage coach is you don't get on and go live with them and say, hey, do me a favor, log on right now and let's start moving these bars for you and show you what that looks like. So, and, for me, I used, Todd's Win by Noon. If you would see my Win by Noon, you'd see that it's completely scribbled on everywhere, every single day, except for the day maybe that I'm sleeping. There's something on that helping me move forward, and my grateful, that's one of my biggest things right now is being grateful for some of the things I do, because right now things are a little bit tough for me. Probably not just me, probably everybody in the market. It seems like everybody's very angry right now, and it's taking me a lot more to stay happy than it has been in a long time. So too much news, too much negative news, and so I just stay away from it.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, I talk to a lot of top producers. I'm not going to mention names, but I don't know anybody that's not working harder and getting less results for the hard work that they are right now. But I also know, because I've been through a number of ups and downs in this business, the people that are getting after it, the people that are getting creative, the people that are sharpening their skills, it's just short-term challenge, and we're coming into that type of year. So anyway, that was great stuff. Todd, you want to walk us through your unique value proposition kind of playbook?
Sure. I'll just run through it kind of quick so I don't take a ton of time from the great conversation, that we're having. And you just said something, Dave, that really stood out to me, right? We're sharpening our skills right now. I really believe that what we do now between today and the end of the year is really what's going to set up your success or lack thereof in 2019, right? You need to get momentum, and now is the time. I continue to talk to a lot of people who are like, well, I'm just going to, push hard now for the next 2.5 weeks till Thanksgiving. Then I'm just going to kick back between Thanksgiving and Christmas. And I would tell you that those of you who take action and really push through that time a little bit harder than you would normally like to at that time, I think you'll actually see the results going into next year, just hands down. And, you know, it's a tough market. I'm talking to people who are actually getting part-time jobs right now. I'm talking to people who are having other areas of challenge. And so I don't want you guys to fall into there. So take the advice that you're hearing and implement one thing today. And so this tool really, like I said, just made to sharpen, using Dave's word, it just walks you through some questions, right? None of these are earth-shattering questions, but as you heard Michelle and Frank and Keith all talk about what they talk about to clients, it's just asking you questions so you can brain dump sort of what it is that you do, because we're talking about features, we're talking about how we're going to differentiate ourselves if we're going to have a UVP. And then all it does is when you get to the second page, and like I said, if you're just joining us, I'll be throwing it into the Mortgage Coach group. You're really just narrowing down those answers. Hey, what are my top 5 answers? And then you're going to narrow those down, and then you're going to come up with your unique value proposition. And again, when you look at the big companies, right, they're all really short, right? Most of us actually talk a little bit longer. And so really what you want to try to do is figure out what is my short version, kind of what's my medium version, and what's my longer version. But ultimately what you heard when you're hearing the great producers we have here today is that they all have building blocks of scripts, right? So they're asking a client a question or making a statement, and then they're transitioning through their process, and depending what the person's asking, and then they're going to go, you know, their certain way, they're going to add in that certain block. And this is just one piece of that conversation. So if you can take the time to go through the tool, you know, it's not that long of an exercise. You could get through it probably in 10, 15 minutes tops and put out something good. And then the last thing I'll throw out there is that what you saw a few minutes ago with Keith, where he went through what he said, or Frank, one of the two, and whichever one Dave went through, and the Dave said, hey, I would change that last sentence, right? Find someone in your office that you can actually then bounce this off of and have them help sharpen you, because ultimately there's always a value of having a little bit of accountability and having a second opinion. And I thought that Dave did a great job of showing that here today.
Love it. So Todd, if you, let's pull this down just so we're on video, because I really want to connect with everybody here. And when you think of unique value propositions, I'm gonna share what my unique value proposition is when I was a top performing mortgage professional, and I founded Mortgage Coach on this value proposition. I'm gonna give you the sentence in just a minute, but realize, you know, it's not a magic sentence, and it does vary, and there's things that you say in front of it that, you know, your why and your specialization, like a Josh Metal. I specialize in helping, you know, physicians, and then boom, boom, boom. And it varies, you know, are you talking to a financial planner? Are you talking to a realtor? Are you talking to a first-time buyer? Are you talking to a move-up buyer that's buying their, you know, dream home? You know, there's variances, you know, there's customization. So we're not, you know, elevator pitch. I'm not trying to like, here's a script and become robots around it. But I do want everybody, you know, knowing all the competition I showed on my screen a minute, if you're a local referral-based mortgage professional and you don't become a master chess player with personal brand advice, you are going to get crushed. And by the way, I'm not even worried about you getting crushed by the Amazon mortgage. You're going to get crushed by the badasses in this community that are, you know, killing it, that are, you know, referral-based loan officers that have great unique value propositions. They're going to crush you. So my value prop was, my advice makes a difference. Dave Savage, my advice makes a difference. And then depending on who I talk to, how my advice makes a difference. You know, if I was talking to a CPA or financial planner, you know, when you talk to lenders and loan officers and they show your family's options, do they show them that, hey, if you prepaid your mortgage, how much faster you could pay it off? To financial planners, do they show them if they could invest that money in an account with you, how they would build up equity faster to the point where they could pay off their home and be debt-free faster? You know, so it was, my advice makes a difference, and then 100 different ways to go from that. I'm going to type that into chat in just a minute. I would love to know, and by the way, there's lots of plays off of that. You know, my advice helps you build wealth in real estate faster. My advice helps first-time home buyers do blank, blank, blank. There's all kinds of ways you can play off of this. So I'm going to throw it back to the community. You heard what Todd said. If you're in the group and you want to share what your unique value prop is, or some variants of what we're talking about, share it. And then I'm going to go around again. I'm going to start with Keith. Keith, anything you want to add on to what Todd said, or any nuances you want to add on your unique value prop?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, if we speak specifically to realtors, there's a heaviness in this market right now, and I'm feeling it on the call right here, and just in general. And if I can go out in the market and eliminate that fear with my real estate partners, right? And help them win in 2019, they're going to love me forever. And so one of the things that I'll often say is, I have solutions that'll help you win. And that can go a multitude of ways in the conversation with that agent. But like, we have to be the calm in the storm that they seek. And that goes back to the idea of being the magnet. Sharing your advice, sharing opportunities. This seller buy down strategy that we're all talking about is something that's significant in this market. It's not something that's going to save every single transaction, but could it bridge a gap for multiple buyers and sellers that are $10,000 to $15,000 in part? That is something that can help them win, right? This is a strategy that can help listing agents win more listings by having solutions when we come into a negotiation issue. And so kind of just going back to that idea, like, in this market, there is heaviness. Everybody feels it. Our agents feel it. Our LOAs feel it, right? Our LOs feel it. And if we can come and bring energy and optimism, everybody's going to seek us, and we're going to be able to be that magnet. Because with that heaviness, there is significant opportunity for people to take market share right now. The Quickens of the world don't have, going to your my advice makes a difference. Like, original Quicken is not going to save a transaction for a real estate agent, whether it's a rescue loan or it's advising somebody in a negotiation stage to help the buyer bridge the gap with the seller. So I have solutions that help you win in 2019 is really kind of my mantra moving forward with my real estate partners. And that's what I'm saying to everybody. Love
it. And I want to play off of that. Like, my advice makes a difference. Well, that could be used with a realtor. It's really designed for the family value proposition. I'm hearing from the mortgage coach community, everything from, my advice can help you sell homes faster. The seller buy down is a unique value proposition. I mean, there's a way that, I specialize in creative financing strategies that help listings that aren't selling sell faster. For example, and then you tell a story and you explain the strategy. That's a unique value proposition. Frank, anything you want to add, or anything that comes to mind for you?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things is that, like, my company is amazing. Like, I totally love working my company, but I can't wait for my company to brand me. There's certain actions that we have to just own if we want to take steps forward, because our personal branding goes with us no matter who we're with. And I think with this shift, it's a great opportunity for us, because real estate agents are dealing with the same things that we dealt with at the beginning of the year. They're just now starting to see, their, discount agencies and markets slowing a little bit, where they just can't list a home and it goes off the market in 2 days. So you're getting in front of it, or us getting in front of it, you'll start getting those agents that are searching out more opportunities, because there's 10% of the agents out there probably really have their goals down and are ready for next year. So a lot of what my team is doing right now is we're sitting down with every one of our partners and going over the 2019 goals. And some of them don't have them. And we're like, hey, here's a template to go and do your goals off of. Let's sit down and go through it to make sure that you're prepared for next year. And we're talking about how you're branding yourself as one of the main talking points, because they're seeing us doing the videos. So don't wait. Make sure that you're taking the forefront of it, because there's a lot of agents that need the same thing that we want to do here on this call.
Love it. And by the way, I just jumped into questions. I've been watching Facebook chat. For everybody that has posted a question or shared a unique value proposition, thank you. I will make sure those make it into the thread. Some really good stuff there in the Q&A. Michelle, anything you want to add? And let's focus on realtor value propositions, things that we would say to an agent that would uniquely position us both as an advisor and really make our personal brand shine.
That's a great advice. So my realtors, without question, have zero They know I'm going to close any loan that comes to me. They know that I have a solution for every loan. That is something that we have branded. That's some of the things that last 2 years ago, we started rebranding. We needed something where we had an outlet for every loan. We can do pretty much any loan. And it's a matter of the realtor and I working with the client. So sometimes if you have to close a loan fast and you have to put them in a private loan for a little bit, it's making them understand that's what we need to do. But one of my value propositions with my realtors, they know I have a solution for every single loan. And if I don't, I will go find it, because that's what makes me tick. We are the out-of-the-box solution. They know that I have a solution for everything. I wanted my realtors to know that I am the one-stop shop. So even if it's a commercial loan, they come to me. Even though I personally don't do commercial loans, I will get them to the right person. So making sure that your realtors know you're the person to go to, not Wells Fargo or whatever. You're always the person that they go to, no matter what question they have. And the fact that I'm available to answer questions, even if they're not my loan, I will help fix a loan that's with Wells Fargo that they're not understanding something. I'll get on the phone with the loan officer and help him, because that's my value, and my realtors remember that. So the fact that I didn't get that one loan doesn't matter, because I got so much more by being able to save that deal for my realtor.
Love it. Love it. Todd, anything you want to share, or anything in chat or Q&A that you think we should call out?
There's definitely some great UVPs in the Q&A. So I was cutting and pasting them so we can get them posted up into the group later. So thank you guys who are putting them in there. And if anyone else has them, go ahead and throw them in. I love what Michelle said. I always remember one specific time when I was originating, where I got in front of a room of realtors, and there was a loan officer who went before me, and she said, "I do great job. We close loans quickly. We do FHA and VA." And she kind of went through this whole thing, and she was right. She did a great job, and they did all those loans. And then I was like, what am I going to say? I'm following her. And I just said, gosh, you know what? She's right. We do all the same things that she does. I said, she's great. We do all the same things that she does. I said, who here has all the business that they can handle? And of course, no one raised their hand. I said, awesome. Well, what I do is I help realtors like you plan better to increase their business. And then I said, so if that's something you're interested in, see me afterwards. And there was just this beeline over to me to ask for advice afterwards. And then that's why I was able to do the things that we talk about here in the community, of actually scheduling time with them, asking the right questions to figure out then what it was that I had to offer that I could help them with. But it always started with that idea of, I'm going to help you by business planning, which was always my UVP, and just be different, not talking about the loan stuff, not talking about the rate stuff, that everything that should be a given if you're still in the business, if that makes sense.
It does. So anybody have something to add here?
I want to add something. So like, gamify it a little bit, right? Like, let's have fun. We're talking about like serious solutions for problems, which is awesome. But also just like with the heaviness in this market, people are stressed out, and have fun. So like, one of the things I pulled this out, it's on my desk. I'm swinging for the fence with the top 5 agents in our market. And like, I did like a wanted poster, right? And I'm literally doing a video, and I'm sending it to them, and I'm saying, you're on my wanted list. Like, you're on notice, you're going to see information from me. And my whole goal for you is to help you win in 2019. And then I'm just having fun with it. So when I'm interacting with agents about business, or I'm up on stage talking, or I'm speaking in front of a bunch of realtors, like I try to, like, we're serious and we're mortgage professionals, but at the same time, like, let's lighten up what we're doing a little bit, have a little fun, tell a joke, know your stories so that people can relate. But because that's what they want to know, that you're human. At the same time, like, we're really good. We're going to take care of you. We're going to close on time. We've got, our advice matters, but like, gamify what you're doing a little bit and have fun with your agents, especially when you're out targeting people, because like, they're going to see that energy that you have, and then they're going to gravitate to it. You got to be that magnet, and to be that magnet, you got to play.
So by the way, guys, I absolutely love what you just said, Keith, because if you are going to beat the competition, whether that competition is another, mortgage banker, whether it's a broker, whether it's big bank, whether it's, Quicken, the Amazon-esque mortgage, that's gonna always be there. I mean, that is timeless, So folks, I am looking at the Facebook group right now as we kind of get into this last 5 minutes. I want to make sure that everybody watching this video, I mean, first of all, if you're watching this live, thank you. If you're watching the recording, thank you just as much. But if you're watching the recording, give it a like. If you got value, like it. and share it with your mortgage friends. If you're a manager, I think this is a super important conversation that you should be having with your branch. You know, it's a good time for everybody to audit their unique value propositions. And it would probably be easier for as a branch manager to go through this exercise and go around the room and, you know, what do you say to the realtor? What do you say to the buyer's agent? What do you say to the listing agent? What do you say to the first time buyer? And just really help everybody get clear and make sure it's unique. You know, it's a unique value proposition. It doesn't have to be a one-of-a-kind value proposition. In fact, I think if you try to make it one of a kind, you know, it might get in the way. But so I'm going through this and, you know, watch Keith's video. You know, he did an incredible job. You know, check it out. Watch, by the way, this interview I did with Jason Nutzman. I mean, this is a black belt leader and mortgage coach. I mean, not only has he created, you know, over 1,000 total cost analysis, he has trained a lot of loan officers that have created, you know, hundreds and thousands of TCAs. And if you're a producing branch manager, I mean, this is just, you know, money. You know, it's number 14 in my mortgage strategy series. You know, I love this post and I want everybody to make sure you check it out. Any language to put a seller buy down in a MLS. We've got 8 comments. I would love to have more comments because I do think there's more ideas around that. Frank Blakeley knocked it out of the park. This is his video to past clients, and Frank's going to post a video for his realtors. I will put that at the top of the Facebook group for a week. So when Frank, you put that, I'll post it. You know, I think Matt Cady knocked it out of the park. I don't know how many people saw his, you know, saw this video that he did, but he crushed it. Maybe Todd, let's see if Matt can come in maybe in the next couple of weeks, share what's happening in his world. You know, Dan Keller, I've left this one in here because it's just such an epic, you know, example of using video, using social, using Mortgage Coach. You know, the guy just crushes it. So I'm going to actually take that out of, it's been up here for a week or two. That's going to come out of the top soon. And then, you know, Scott Nicholson is just continuing when it comes to being the seller buy down strategy. You know, he is the master black belt at the seller buy down. Check that out. Great success story here from Carlos. Make sure you guys read that. I think it was just inspirational. And thank you, Carlos. And if anybody else is having success, like if you hear this call, you do something different, you get success, play it forward, put it in this group. The reason this group is so valuable, it's not because of me, it's because of you. It's about the more you share and the more you give, the more you're going to get back. So make sure you play it forward. And then if you have not watched this, I would just recommend, you know, watch it. It's just 2 minutes long or 1 minute and 55 seconds. Great example of Scott Nicholson leading and having the seller buy down strategy conversation in a realtor office. You know, just fantastic leadership, some scripting. Check it out. Scott and I are going to be bringing more content around this seller buy down strategy in the coming weeks. So we are at the top of the hour. Todd, I'll let you close it out with any words of wisdom as we wrap up today's mastermind.
Words of wisdom. All right, here I go in the 60 seconds that I have. All I would tell you is that I'm watching the comments of people who said this was awesome. So thank you, Keith. Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Dave, Michelle, for coming together and adding huge value to the community. But I think the biggest key for you is to take action, right? Pick one thing that somebody here said and then get it going, not tomorrow, next week, the week after, right? Take some time today and actually implement what you can do. And I think Dave did a great job there, just spending 2 minutes highlighting some of the successes and some of the biggest wins that people have had in the community with great examples. So just swipe and adapt. You know, don't make it not you, right? I love Keith saying gamify it, have some fun with it. You know, make it you and then just put it out there, right? Get results, right? Frank talked about it. People didn't watch his videos, but they didn't like his videos, but they watched his videos. So you know me, I'm always all about just the action piece of it, because in the end, what I find is everyone says, well, I really wanted to do that. Oh, I saw that. It was amazing. And I'm like, awesome. How you doing on it? Well, I haven't started yet. So I would just say this, right? You got time right now, right? Close the door, right? Put a do not disturb sign on and just take action. And always appreciate being here. Always appreciate you guys listening. And if I can help in any way, just holler.
Well, hey, Keith, as we close this out, it's great to have you as leader in the community. Can't wait to have you in other interviews and keep sharing the success that you're having. Frank, as always, man, you bring it. Thank you for being here. Michelle, almost every week you're here. Thank you for being a great leader in this community. So remember, everybody, if you're watching the recording, give it a like, share it with your mortgage friends, and hopefully you got a lot of value from today. We'll see you at the next call.
Bye, guys.
See you, everybody.
It's fun.
Thanks.
Take care.